Success Training. You made it. If you're here with me, great job. I know how hard it is to take this time out of your week, especially live, and really do the journaling and really implement what we're talking about. So, if you have been doing that, congratulations and really amazing work. Let me just make sure I'm live everywhere I need to be live. Because it says I'm live, but let's make sure I appear in the QIJ Facebook group. Streaming is what I see. Okay, cool. Let me put myself on airplane mode. I noticed yesterday when I didn't, the internet was a little bit fuzzy and want you guys to be able to see me and hear me. So let me know if you can see me and hear me. Let me know if I am loud and clear here. And also let me know how you're doing. How has this week been for you? How has this week been for you? If you've really been, playing full out, you've probably been spending a lot of time on this, really asking yourself some deep questions. And the amazing thing about doing this, about this space that we've opened up this week, but also this kind of approach to your career, is you get to create, you get to go on a higher level and kind of like look out and decide what you want and decide what's important to you instead of flooding yourself with job postings and flooding yourself with applying to jobs on LinkedIn or wherever. And of course, that's an important piece of the puzzle if you want to continue your career as a professional in a company versus like starting your own business. Like the action on that end is really important. Working with a recruiter, networking, reaching out to friends and former colleagues and all of that is really important. And if you're here, chances are you've had times when it's really discouraging and you see like hundreds or thousands of applications on the same job, on the job that you think you're perfect for, but probably those 500 other people are more perfect than you, right? So it can get really discouraging to be like up against the grindstone. I'm like up against the grindstone. And the work that we're doing here is letting you think a little bit more deeply and ultimately approach your career more strategically and from a place where you're actually taking into account, does this feel good? Does this company feel aligned to me? And some of you I know are already doing this, but for those of you who aren't, it's really easy to see a job post and say, yeah, I can do that. Uh-huh. Please pay me now. When you're in that place of scarcity or fear or urgency, which can be very real. I'm not, I can't chalk everything up to just a mindset thing. Although I will say, if you work on your mindset, the rest of this is going to be a lot easier for you and actually a lot more fun. And you're just going to feel better in the process. You're just going to feel so much better in the process when you do some of this internal work before you go out there and kind of try to cater to whoever might be looking for someone who's kind of like you. Because we apply to more than one job, we tend to, right? And when a company asks you, why do you want to work for us? It can be kind of like, are you kidding? I want to work for you because it seems like I won't die in the role. It seems like I can do it, and you have, the pay, the benefits, the whatever, the what's in it for me, and it can feel discouraging if you want to come from an authentic place, and you kind of aren't coming from an authentic place a lot of the time, unless you're really excited about a company, really excited about a role. But sometimes we're just not. Sometimes we're just trying to make it something fit. And that's what actually we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about your value proposition. And like I said yesterday, if you feel icky about this, if you feel icky like selling yourself, trying to like promote yourself so that you look like a professional or a thought leader or whatever, this is really for you. And today we're going to talk about doing that in a way that feels authentic to you and isn't selling out. because I will show you why selling out actually doesn't work. Like both, it doesn't feel good and it is not effective. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, how to actually communicate in a way that influences others in an ethical way, in a way that's in integrity, and also how to recognize what is unique about you. And again, we go much deeper into this in QIJ, my group coaching program, which the doors, by the way, close for that tomorrow at 1 p.m. PST. I've opened up a few more discovery call slots if you want to talk with me and have me answer any questions you might have. And the link for that is everywhere, and it will be in the comments of this video too. But you can also just go ahead and enroll in QIJ. If you're unfamiliar, I'll share the link for that. You can look at the page, and if it feels like a fit, you can go ahead and enroll. We do still have spaces available, and I would love to see you there. So again, that closes tomorrow at August 13th at 1 o'clock PST. So don't miss out. The next round will not be until closer to the end of this year. So if you want to get to the family holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas with some positive career news, or feeling good about yourself, now would be the time to get started on that work. It's really easy to put this off. It'll be like, you don't want me to be back on here next year and be like, yeah, remember last year when I did this similar workshop? And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm still in the same place as I was a year ago, which it's your journey. Maybe you will be. But if you don't want to be, there are options for that. Okay, so before I dive in, let me just check on the people. I am not seeing myself on Facebook, but it says I'm streaming on Facebook. So, Facebook people. Let me know if you can see me, hear me. Otherwise, I will have to upload this as a file, I guess. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later. Not going to worry about that. But LinkedIn, we are live. So if you want to hop over to LinkedIn, you can find me, Ellie Bosmarova, on LinkedIn, and you can watch this there. And I'll make sure the replay is available to my QIJers later. Okay, so let's dive in. Technology. We've been so good this week. I'm really impressed. It's been all right. I don't know why this one is worrying, but anyway, okay. So your values proposition, and values proposition as a phrase is really interesting because it's very marketplace. It's very like, I'm a product, which, like, you're not a product. I don't know if you knew that. You're not a product. You're treated like a product a lot of the time, but you're not a product. You're a person with agency and everything. And so I want us to remember that as we go through today, as you go through the exercises, as you kind of continue the practice of letting go of the past stuff, the stuff that is, the difficulties, the job posts with, 500 other applicants, the feeling of waking up on a Monday morning and you're like, why am I still here? Right? So I want you to keep that in mind, that you are more powerful than you think you are, more powerful than, the marketplace might have you believe. And you're also going to find that you are more unique than you think you are. Okay? So, okay, looks like we are on Facebook now. The multitasking is incredible. Okay. It's the last time you'll hear me sing. Okay. So like I said in the beginning, this isn't going to be about selling yourself out. This isn't going to be about how to trick people into thinking you are something you're not. I am personally not interested in that, and I don't think it will yield good results for anyone involved. So today we're going to talk about how to communicate with integrity and how to communicate in a way that is influencing others to create a win-win situation with you. And that win-win situation is they say yes to you. And that starts, of course, with you saying yes to yourself, which we know if you're following along this week. So the truth is, and I want you to write this down if it resonates with you. The truth is, you get to be successful being exactly who you are. And this is how you're going to unlock the energy and the creativity that you need to succeed. The painful thing about making any kind of change in your career is trying to fit yourself into places that don't feel good for you to be. And it doesn't feel, when you're doing something that's out of integrity, that's dishonest, it doesn't feel good. And so it's not gonna feel good at all moving forward either. And there could be, again, really good reasons to like get a job. Like, sometimes we need one, but I'm talking to the people I'm talking to you if you know that you're capable, you know that you can get any job, but you're not looking for that. You're looking for something that's fulfilling and impactful. Okay? So I'm going to show you how you can play at that level as yourself. Sounds pretty good, right? Less stress. Because the world needs passionate people who do what they love, who do work that they love to do. And we actually really need that as a species, as a planet. We don't have time for more people who are ambivalent about their careers and then they die. Who wins? Who wins if you hate your job and then you die? Like, what a terrible way to play this game. And it's a game, if you want it to be. If you want to have fun being alive, there's a way to do that. So let's talk about how to communicate effectively, and then we will talk about how to position yourself so that your unique strengths shine. And we talk all about this in QIJ. And I'm really excited to give you a little intro to what I share with my clients. The first step to effective communication is realizing that, excuse me, the efficacy of communication is measured by the response that you get, which means that communication is about the other person. It's about connecting with the recipient of your communication, and it's about ideally having this interchange of ideas, having a conversation, or convincing them that you're the best one, right? That's really what we want to do. We want to convince them that we're the best one. And sometimes they don't decide on you and it's not about you. It's ultimately not because of you, but on our end, on your end, you can do everything you can to establish that rapport, to establish that connection with the other person. So the first step to effective communication always and forever is rapport. And rapport is that feeling of connection, that feeling of I just like this person. It's feeling like someone is like you. You're kind of you've got some kind of kinship. It's almost like you belong in the same little community. And the way to do that is to be really in tune with the other person. For example, listening to what they say, the kinds of words that they use, noticing their body language, thinking about what time of day it is. And, if you're having an interview right before lunch, maybe that affects your interviewer somehow. Thinking about them as a whole human being is a great way to establish rapport, and being really conscious of them as a whole human, not only on a verbal level, but on a physical level as well. Like, what is their body language and all of that. And that's like a really quick way to talk about establishing rapport. But I want you to think about, how can I implement this? So like in a Zoom meeting, when you're walking into the Zoom meeting, how can you get connected with the energy in that Zoom meeting? How can you kind of help the energy of the room? How can you make the interviewer feel more at ease? And start to ask yourself those questions that are more giving than grasping, and you'll start to establish rapport effectively. And the energy you're going to feel from rapport, and I talk about energy a lot because our bodies are so intelligent. Like, why would you miss out on thinking about energy? It's something that we're aware of and we have access to, and so often it's like not entirely conscious, and then you're just operating from the mind, and it's such a small percentage of the way we're actually receiving information, consciously especially. So any questions on rapport? Any questions on rapport, establishing rapport with someone? The way that you'll know you have rapport is that person feels like you feel more comfortable with them, and you might actually notice some physical changes in them. Like, you may notice their face looks a little bit more colorful. You might notice you know they're smiling. Okay, we know how to do this. Okay, but when you're nervous and when you're trying to impress someone, you might be missing out on these signs that, like, oh, we're connected now. And actually, that's the way to move forward. It's not, oh, they're really impressed with me, but their face muscles haven't moved in 10 minutes. Okay, so that's step one. Step one is getting really present, getting really aware. So often in social media world, we're thinking about, how can I have this presence? How can we talk about like going viral, or being consistent, which is an interesting belief that I want to do a training around, um, because it's a little suspicious to me. I'm suspicious of the idea that we need to be consistent. There's something too vague about it for me, and I get a little like, how do you win this one? How do you successfully be consistent? If there's no way to succeed at a goal, let's say, I get suspicious, and it starts sounding like the ego is involved, and it's a self-sabotaging kind of behavior. So anyway, we have this idea of social media as basically being a way to present yourself, right? Like, it's almost like a storefront for you as a professional and as a person. And that's great. And there's a really good quote. Let's see if I'll find it. Let's see. And if not, I will find it later. Um, Maybe someone else knows it. Oh gosh. The quote is basically, I'm at the end, y'all. I'm at the end. I can't be thinking and talking at the same time. It's over. Um, I'm getting closer in my head to what the answer is. For those of you joining now, I'm looking for a quote that will help me highlight what I'm describing. Okay, so I will look for the quote later. The quote is basically, I think it's by a writer, and it basically is, we know our culture and our society is ending when there are no more readers and listeners. There are just a mass. The mass is just shouting into the void. The mass is just trying to look at me. I'm here. I have something to show. And that's when we know that the culture and the society will end, and that's very negative, and or whatever. I'm not even going to label it. I find it very interesting because we are certainly in that era where everyone's trying to be seen and be heard, and have a platform. And of course, there are really good reasons for that, and I am in no way exempt from that. But when you want to communicate effectively, you have to actually pivot out of that way of thinking, because what you're actually trying to do is to just connect with another human being. And when I've been in sales roles, when I've been in marketing roles, when I've been in recruiting roles, ultimately, like, you can say the persona you're going after is the director of sales enablement, but actually you're also just talking to a human being, and you have to be able to make that connection with another human being. And that's the trick. You have to be kind of in that spirit of generosity and that spirit of connection, wanting to connect with the other person versus just wanting the other person to be impressed by you or think that you're interesting. Sounds like I'm giving you dating advice. Maybe I am. Okay. So let's talk about, so we've got rapport down. Okay. About having that, establishing that connection. And I want to invite you to brainstorm ways you can do that online with your online presence. How can you invite connection with your online presence? And if you hate being online and you don't like social media, think about that. Maybe write, maybe take a minute and just write out on a piece of paper what you don't like about it and why you think you're supposed to be on it. Just a curiosity expedition exploration. Now, communication is both, like we've talked about at the beginning of this training, about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is pretty much running the show, and the conscious mind is getting little bits of information, and we call that reality. It's pretty wild. So, in the same way that we have the conscious and subconscious mind kind of running the body, establishing what you believe, you're going to see it out in the world. You're going to see evidence for what you believe in the world. Communication is also conscious and subconscious, and the mind will subconsciously notice things about someone else's communication, and you'll consciously get some information too. Now, the interesting thing about how communication works as it relates to the mind is the words you speak only count for 7% of what communication is. So, communication, as far as what the conscious mind gets and you consciously are aware of, is pretty much 7%. The rest is you might get little nudges and glimpses as it registers on a more subconscious level, but the rest is pretty much you almost can't explain why that person bothered you, but like there was something about them that did, or that felt like they're not, you don't have anything in common or whatever. And it's because there's also tonality and physiology. So the tonality, when it comes to the communication model, it counts for 38% of how communication is received, which means your tone matters, and being excited in your approach to things matters, or being serious, or being whatever is appropriate for the time. But really noticing your tone, and also noticing the other person's tone when they're communicating with you. And then the biggest part, and this is interesting in our Zoom world, the biggest part of communication is physiology, it's body language. It's 55% of communication, and a lot of that is registered subconsciously. But what you can do is think about how consciously you are holding your body. When we talked about the 6 principles of success, we talked about being in the physiology of excellence. So what does it mean? Are you doing, the Wonder Woman pose? What does it mean when you're physically presenting yourself in that energy of I'm open, I'm committed to doing my best, I'm committed to being part of the team, I believe in myself, whether or not you believe in me. And that's not from a place of ego, that's from a place of like, I am, this energy of like, I am my own best friend, cheerleader. I am, I know I've got something to offer, which is why I'm, spending any time at all interviewing for this job. So 93% of our communication is non-verbal. Anyone have any thoughts on that? Is that surprising to you? Also, let me know if you're joining live or on the replay. I don't know yet how long we will be keeping these videos up, so if you are wanting to catch up, I would recommend doing that this next week. Yeah, what do we think about that? So when you think about communicating, there's a lot more than what are the words on my profile. And when I coach people one on one, I mean, I've like helped people make their LinkedIn profile. I've helped people build their website and figure out, how am I communicating visually? How am I communicating? Am I communicating my values? And this is an exercise that I do with I think I do it with almost all of my clients whenever it's a good fit, and it's I'm not going to do the full exercise with you, but it's because it takes a while, but it's just figuring out what are your values, because companies often have a list of values, and so many people I work with, maybe they maybe they did a values exercise like 5 years ago, maybe they like took a quiz once, but they don't have like in front of them when they're setting goals, when they're making decisions, when they're applying to roles. They don't have that list of values in front of them, and it's not actually informing what they do. And if you want to find something that's aligned with you, if you want to feel good about your work, making decisions and noticing, how do these values actually fit? Is this, this goal that I have to do XYZ, does that have anything to do with any of my values? And you might notice, oh, I'm having a really hard time focusing on that goal. Well, yeah, it's not really connected to your heart or your mission or what you want to do. So there are a lot of ways to find out your values. I would just recommend, doing a Google search and finding a list of words, and then getting that down to 4 or 5, and and just seeing like what resonates with you on an emotional level. It's not about what makes me sound the best or look the best. It's really easy to let your ego get involved in that, and like, oh, I've always been called assertive, so assertiveness is one of my values. No, like it's like, what lights you up? What's exciting to you? I have my values right here. I look at them regularly, and I actually look at them. I don't look at them every day, but whenever I'm kind of thinking, like at a crossroads in life, I look at my values. So my values are liveliness, dignity slash majesty, discipline and fruitfulness, integrity, and faith. Those are my values. So liveliness, meaning I need to be, I needed to feel like an adventure. I need to be excited. I need to feel like I'm on a journey. And when I do, I'm energetic, enthusiastic. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll go all the way, but having that zest for life. And that also means that my personal values mean I don't want to be in one place. I don't want to work in the same room every day, unless I have complete control of my environment. Like that's just for me, that's what works. So I need a little bit more of like variety in my life, in my schedule, in my month at the very least. And then dignity, majesty is all about self worth, and it's all about caring about the dignity of others. So, really helping other people see their own worth and find that they are also worthy of respect. So, valuing that dignity in others. Discipline and fruitfulness has to do with creativity, being a writer, being a business owner, as being a coach. I have to hold myself to this, like the things that I train you on. I need to be able to look at myself and say, do I need help in this department? And like, let me do the self coaching I need to do, or hire a coach. I worked with a coach at the beginning of this year, to make sure that I'm walking the talk, and then also that my results are reflecting that. It's really easy to you just check, like, am I getting the results I want? Yes or no. If no, when you take the emotional stuff out of it, when you take the I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, when you've done the work on those thoughts and beliefs and feelings, you can start to look more objectively at your results and say, am I getting the results I want? Yes or no? No. Okay. What's the approach I've taken? Okay, I'm going to change this approach, and I'm going to keep going. No such thing as failure unless you quit. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep iterating and until I get the result that I want. And then integrity is for me, about being honest and willing to be vulnerable and real. It also helps me not take myself too seriously. Of course, I'm a life coach, a career coach. I have, a lot of things I could take very seriously, but for me, integrity is also about being a whole person, so that I can show people, like, I also love memes, like, I'm just a person having a great time here. And then faith, as I talked about the other day, is just trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. I'm putting good out into the universe, and I know it will come back to me in whatever way it does. And so those are mine. So, what are your values? Do you know your values? Have you ever tried to find out your values? This isn't something made up, this is something that's already within you. But if you don't know your values, you're going to adopt the values of whatever the structure with authority is around you, which can be fine. But it's also not necessarily what your values actually are. And so, again, that piece of like feeling uncomfortable, feeling dishonest, feeling like I don't know why this doesn't feel right, but it's not really like for me. Maybe you like it, but you don't love it. And so, communicating your value proposition, we've got the part that's about the other person, right? We want to build rapport, we want to communicate, we want to connect, but you also need to know, what are my values? What do I care about? What's important to me? And the values I listed for me are sort of like, it's like they're really just to get me excited and to make sure that what I'm saying yes to is a hell yes, and not a, oh, I guess it's good enough for now. It's like a stepping stone, and like I really need this to work right now, and then I'm definitely going to quit in 6 months and whatever. I'm not participating in that line of thinking, and I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do that either. You don't have to convince yourself that settling for something is good. You just don't have to. It's optional. And so those values are sort of like an emotional kind of bullseye for me, but you can also think about, what do you value in your day to day? What do you value in your lifestyle? So, do you value having flexibility in your schedule to connect with your kids? Do you value making sure you have time for your hobbies and your side projects, your passions? Do you value clear direction? You just want someone to tell you what to do. Do you value the opportunity to be a leader? It's so many people I work with, they're just yearning to be that leader. That's what they want to do. They want to be that mentor. They want to be that leader on their team or in a new role that's bigger, that's different, that's, a step up for them. And if that's a value for you, get that clear for yourself so that you're not settling for opportunities that are not that. Checking on things, people. So yeah, let me know if you know what your values are. If you feel comfortable sharing them, I'd love to see them and hear them. Also, if you've scheduled a call with me or you want to schedule a call with me, that's something I'd love to chat with you about too. If you want to share that there, as we figure out if QIJ working with me is a good fit for you. And now that we've covered the first part, which is how to communicate effectively by building rapport and kind of doing the whole body communication, um, really noticing what are your values, what are their values. I can even go even deeper into this with like the words people use indicate how they process information, but we don't have time for that today. Really helpful stuff. Helps you be very attuned to other people. And now we're going to talk about how to position yourself so that your unique strengths shine. Now, a lot of people, so like it's better to it's better to stand out as who you actually are, right? I think we can all agree on that. There are a lot of people I know and I work with who don't actually know what it is about them that makes them unique because of the conditioning we've had, because of the years of experience trying to fit into what we think we're supposed to be doing and being like, right? So, this again involves taking that step back, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I want you to put on your favorite music, eat something delicious. Probably not right now, but today. I would do this today. And I want you to answer these questions. And on the side of your paper, see, and like this is something I do with people. Sometimes I do this with people and they don't even realize what I'm doing, but have a clearer idea of what they're doing after. On the side of that piece of paper, I just want you to write like negative emotions and beliefs, and just notice what your inner critic says as you write the answers to these questions. Okay. So, more than ever before, I think, more than ever before, our society values people who are truly unique, people who are offering something that's totally different, never before seen, has that special spark, gets you interested, has your attention. And at the same time, so many of us are looking at those people who are more prominent and trying to be like them, when the value is actually on being so uniquely yourself that anyone trying to be like you is just a copycat. Okay? So you you don't need to be the copycat. You're the one. Okay? So let's think about what actually makes you unique and what feels less like, hard labor to do. Because a lot of us are exhausted, right? A lot of people are really, really tired, whether you're working remotely or in the office. So we're going to find a way to work, a way to present ourselves today that actually gives you energy, that actually feels good to you. That's something that's sustainable for you. It's something you can keep putting your weight on it. So some of the questions. So first question, um, what can you talk about for hours? What do you love talking about? What do you love talking about? And what do you love reading about or learning about? So you write down that question and just let your brain start marinating on it. Just let it start marinating on it. Another approach to the question, if you are more of an AD thinker, an auditory digital thinker, where you like to think through things and kind of conceptualize the answer, it's sort of a broader question would be, what makes you unique? What makes you unique? And if you feel stuck with that question, just move on. That's fine. What are you a total nerd about? It can be anything from SNL, hieroglyphics, martial arts. Notice I'm not asking you about your job right now. I'm just asking about, what do you love to learn about, talk about, think about? And what we're tapping into is that energy, that feeling of, oh man, I love this thing. Oh, this is so cool. And if you're feeling stuck, think about a time in your life when you were really excited about something. Just tap into that feeling, that energy. And what do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing in your life? It can be taking walks. It can be building model planes. It can be mining for cryptocurrency in the early 2000s. What do you enjoy doing? And the reason I ask this is because the reason I ask all these questions is because people often don't realize how talented they are at things that come so naturally to them. People don't realize how good they are at things that they think are just fun pastimes. And we often downplay the things that we do naturally really, really well, or think like, oh, there's no way, like this is something people would need or want or like pay me for. It's just this thing that I love to do and I love it so much. And you don't have to make everything you love to do into a job or a career. And if you're looking into what makes you unique and what you and only you have to offer, this combination of things can be really valuable. And not only that, people like working with people they like. And when you're a little bit more open about some of these things and have them a little bit closer to the surface, you're able to share that. You're able to share yourself as a whole person. And I'm just looking at my notes and seeing if I want to cover something different. If you haven't already, I want you to just take a moment to think about a time when you were one. I want you to write down your dream work environment if you haven't already. I think this is something I covered yesterday or the day before in our training. Think about your ideal work environment, like when you are at work. So the values around like flexibility or like promotions or how, those things are one thing, and then this is how what's the environment when you're at work? Do you want to be on a team? Do you not want to be on a team? Do you want to work in a place that is, has a nap room? Just think about that ideal. And then I want you to really thinking about the version of you who has what you want, which we've been building this week. Think about where they live or where they work, where they thrive. Where are they working? What is their manager like? Get as specific as feels good to you. And what we're doing here is really important. We are getting so clear. This is my grandma. Ne babo sigara botya. Baba, she doesn't hear. Ciao, baba. Lekanos. She's asking if I want watermelon for anyone who's curious. So what we're doing here is usually what happens when you're trying to do something new, when you're feeling stuck in your career, in your work. Oftentimes we look out and look for what exists. So like I am looking for jobs that exist right now and I'm trying to mold myself to get that job instead of asking, what do I want? What's the ideal? And that version of me who is fulfilled and happy and wakes up feeling refreshed and confident and communicates with confidence and is clear and says yes and no with that same level of confidence, where do they work? And getting so clear on that your brain is going to start looking for those opportunities and pointing out to you when those opportunities are available, instead of you going into the marketplace from this space of, I got to get a job, I hate my job, I need to do this. It's not the right energy. And that's the reason so many people just create the same patterns over and over and over again throughout their whole career and job after job. Because the approach ends up being the same every time. We want the approach to be different this time. This approach to be more mindful, more intentional, more calm, more fun. Hence the music, hence the snacks. Whatever else has you feeling kind of excited, like there are possibilities here that are exciting and are new. Okay? And so to do the overview about, how do I communicate my value proposition, it's going to be pretty simple. Who are you? So, on a practical level, you can look at all your past experience. It's very helpful to point out to your brain and notice this is what people have paid me for in the past. Meaning these are skills and things I've done that people have found valuable enough to pay me for. Just to let yourself just to remember that if, the ego, the mind can very easily go into this space of like, I'll never get a job again. This is the best I can do. And it's not true. So just letting your brain know, thinking about your past experiences. This is what I've actually been paid for in the past. This is what I've contributed. I'm not your resume coach, but thinking about what results you've created in those roles would be good. And then think about, what else makes you you, what you love, what you want to bring to the table. And then how you do it. Do you have a unique approach? And then, what's the last part? Who are you? What do you have to contribute? How do you do it? And what are you looking for? What are your expectations? And this is something you can bring into conversations with anyone who is part of your career journey. What are your expectations? And that's the opposite of living from this place of scarcity, from this place of fear, from this place of I need this job so that I can be okay, or I need this change so that I can be okay. When it's so much more powerful interpersonally, energetically, when you're approaching this very important part of your life, your career, you're approaching it from this place of, actually, I already know I'm worthy and whole. I have something to contribute. I'm a valuable player. I'm going to be an asset to whatever organization I'm part of, with this sort of like calm, even energy. And so let's find the best fit. Let's find something that's a mutual fit. Let me check on the people. Hello, people. Let me know if this is resonating with you. Let me know what this is bringing up for you. It's so much fun to get to, do this mix of thinking about your energy and doing tapping and doing meditations, and also thinking about, how can you position yourself in a way where you stand out as the best in your field and in your niche and wherever else, or the most fun to work with, the most enjoyable to work with, and to really communicate that in a way that's really strategic and tangible, but also keeps that energy in mind and feels good for you and feels good for the person on the other end as well. Okay, cool. No questions. Good. Great. So now I want to give you a little overview of what we've talked about this week. Okay, so here's what happened on this roadmap to career success. First, we looked at the principles to help you achieve any outcome. So that was the time when you were just thinking about, am I hitting these marks when I'm setting a new goal, looking for a new job, reeling from rejection? Am I keeping these principles in mind? And those principles are always know your outcome, most important thing. The brain needs a bullseye. Take real action, pay attention to results, be willing to change, focus on excellence, live in gratitude. Those are those principles. Day 2, we talked about how imposter syndrome can affect us. We talked about the root of imposter syndrome and how the way we are conditioned makes us have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is optional. Believing in it is optional. You may still have some of the vestiges of it come up in your mind. On day 3, we talk about always knowing your outcome. So on day 3, we talked about actually creating that vision for who you are and for what you want in your life, operating from the identity of the person who has what you want. And we also did EFT tapping to help you release some of those negative emotions and negative beliefs around how you're feeling about your job and your career. And then on day 4, we did the very special guided meditation to help you release on a deep level those things you don't like about yourself, the things that have maybe used to serve you but don't anymore, and helped you let those go and kind of installed a new identity for you. And then today, it's just doing that nitty gritty value prop talk. Remember, you're not a product, you're a person. It's okay. You can be a person and have a successful career. You can be a creative person and have a successful career and make an impact, and you get to do work you love. I'm telling you, you're not asking for too much. And if you are willing to look, there's so much evidence in this world of people who are doing what they love from their heart, and they can't believe they get paid to do what they do, and they're so grateful. And I'm here to actually like pave the path with you and show you how you can do it too. So again, the doors for QIJ, which stands for quit your job, but you don't have to quit your job. But if you want to quit your job, this is the perfect program for you. Those doors close tomorrow at 1 p.m. If you're watching the replay, check the links. Get connected with me. If you're watching this after August 13th, you can get on the wait list for the next enrollment period. And that's just going to be this is an intimate group coaching experience with people who are on the exact same path as you in different industries at different points in their career. But it's amazing the alchemy, the mixing that happens when all these different people get together with the same goal and also cheering each other on. So you're not feeling so alone when you're like on LinkedIn at 3 a.m., which I hope you're not. And so yeah, so I'm super excited to welcome you into that. This is my baby. This is everything I have found that has worked for my clients who are in the same position as you. Is in this program, and the goal is to have you walk away either in a new role or having started your business, or you have a plan, you know what you're going to do, and you're not going to give up on yourself. You're not going to say, oh, maybe sometime next year I'll be able to do something different. Like you're done with that. Like you're going to have so much more confidence in yourself. You're going to believe that you can do it, and you're going to know that it's inevitable, like that it's just going to happen for you. And you'll have that not just because of belief shifting work we've done, but because you'll actually in front of you have this clear vision for what you want, this plan for how you're going to get it, and action steps that you're already actively implementing. You're already doing these things that are going to ensure your success. So that's QIJ. If you want to enroll today. You'll get immediate access to the bonuses. You'll get immediate access to our WhatsApp group, and you will. By the way, one of the bonuses is a $200 discount. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that will be gone next round. And you'll also get to meet your cohort. So again, enrollment closes tomorrow. If you have questions, you can book a time on my calendar or just message me. And thank you so much for participating to whatever extent you participated in the Roadmap to Career Success training. I'm super proud of you. I know that this kind of work is intensive and brings up so much, but I can tell you from my own experience, like I started taking my own mindset and beliefs seriously in 2019. And all I can say is I believe in magic. Like, so many incredible things have happened. So many things are normal to me now and just like a part of my life that like I used to dream of. Like, in my business, like doubled the income I made in a 9 to 5 job. And like that was outside of my of my thinking of what was even possible. And I'm not special. Like, I did what I was taught to do. I did what my coach taught me to do. And I did what the trainings I invested in taught me to do. I have invested a lot into my own personal development. And there's no better investment. There's no better investment than investing in yourself. You're literally it. You're going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. So why not make yourself as happy as possible, as free of stress as possible, as successful as possible, as fulfilled as possible? There's like no better return on your investment. There's no better return. And so, I'm glad I got to share some of this with you. I'm super excited to share even more inside QIJ. Continue following along. If now doesn't feel like the right time for you, we'll be offering more programs like this in the future. And I always want to hear from you. So, what did you love about this? What was difficult for you about this? What would you like to see in the future? And I just can't wait to keep walking on this road with you and to show you that there is hope. It's possible, even if you've had a rough few years, like a lot of us have. There's something incredible right around the corner, and I want you to have that in your energetic possibilities. I want you to really let yourself believe and dream that there's this actually amazing change waiting for you right around the corner. You're ready for it, okay? So have a great rest of your day. Can't wait to hear from you if you are still having questions about QIJ. And super excited to welcome folks who are ready to invest in themselves, who have already invested them in themselves and are going into this QIJ experience with me. And I can't wait to connect with you and the rest of you. See y'all soon. Thanks so much for joining me.